Hi, I'm Chris Roselli.
And I'm Clara Lewis. Welcome to Western Window, a show made for you by students at Western Washington University.
This time we get to chat one-on-one with award-winning scientist and environmentalist David Suzuki. We'll explore the outdoors at a unique program for teens and adults with developmental disabilities.
We'll learn more about Western's rowing team and more. So stay with us as we explore our world through Western Window. Environmentalist and activist David Suzuki was here at Western recently as a part of Japan Week. Suzuki is best known for his work as a radio and television host dealing with natural sciences in an easy-to-understand way, but he is also the co-author of An Introduction to Genetic Analysis, one of the most widely used textbooks on genetics in the United States. Chris Roselli got a chance to sit down with Suzuki and talk to him about some subjects that are dear to his heart.
My name is Chris Roselli with the Western Window, and today it is a true honor to have an international icon here at Western today. David Suzuki is here. You were voted by Canada as one of the top 10 greatest Canadians of all time by the viewers of CBC.
And the four ahead of me were all dead, so maybe that makes the greatest living. Look, I don't take those things seriously.
That's unbelievable. I read you have 25 honorary degrees, you've written 52 books, 19 which are children's books, which is incredibly important. Why children's books? What's the focus?
Well, they're the ones that are going to inherit the planet, and they have most at stake in what is or is not being done today. And while children don't vote, I tell them if you want to do something to protect your future, you got to recruit the two most important people on the planet, your mom and dad. You've got to show mom and dad you're worried, that you're hearing the message that we're making the planet a less certain place in the future. And mom and dad, if they love you, should become eco-warriors fighting for the future on your behalf.
You also say spending time in nature makes us happier, healthier and smarter, which of course...
Yeah, we've got a program right now. The foundation has announced a challenge to Canadians. We call it the 30 by 30 challenge. We're asking Canadians to spend 30 minutes a day for 30 consecutive days in May, outside. Now, who would have ever thought that would be a challenge, 30 minutes a day? Yeah. But you know, the average child today in Canada spends 6 hours in front of a TV or a computer console or text messaging, and 8 minutes outside. Something does not compute here.
That's amazing.
We are made to be outside.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is amazing. Now, Western actually has one of the oldest environmental colleges in the United States.
That's what I learned from the president.
Yep, Huxley College of the Environment. So our president says, you know, there's one thing about being the first, but 40 years down the road, being the first isn't anything if you're not still striving to be the best.
You got to live it,
so
absolutely.
What would be the message to our students as well as our faculty and staff?
Well, I mean, the simplest thing is that you are created by the air, the water, the soil. So that's what keeps you alive and healthy. So whatever you do, you've got to think about that and what the repercussions are in the way you're living. So a lot of young people come to me and say, David, what do I do to save the planet? And my answer is, don't worry about the planet. Planet did fine without us. It's going to do fine if we're gone in the coming years. But it's what do we do about protecting those things that keep us happy and healthy? So I tell the kids, environmentalism isn't a discipline or a specialty. It's a way of seeing the world. It's a way of seeing where we belong within the biosphere. So I tell young kids, follow your heart. If you want to be a garage mechanic, a plumber, a musician, a doctor, a teacher, we need everybody to see the world that way. So follow your heart and make it as green as possible.
A lot of people say that environmentalism and our economy, and a growing economy, that just can't work.
That's
Some
absolutely
people
right.
say that environmentalists
it's absolutely
are a
right.
hindrance. So
you can't change the environment.
That's true. Yep.
So if there's a clash, there's only one thing ahead. We got to change the economy. Now people say, well, that's impossible. What are you talking about? It's like, Milton Friedman believed it's something given to us by God. Baloney. It came to us because some people said, hey, if we organize things a certain way, it'll do things for us. So my answer is the economy has got to be made to serve us. We've done it in the past. As World War II was coming to an end, 44 countries gathered in Maine, Bretton Woods, and said, what do we do in peacetime? The economy has come out of the Depression by war, but we got to go into peace. And Japan and Germany are pounded into the ground. What do we do? And so these heavy minders, they said, okay, we've got to tie currency to the American greenback. They invented the IMF, they invented the World Bank, they invented GATT, the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, and it worked. Japan and Germany are two of the strongest economies on the planet, but they left out nature. So now I say, okay, you changed it in 1944. It's time to change it in 2013. We got to throw that economic system and get it working the right way. Right now, it's not.
Right. So I hear a lot of environmentalists will say, well, one of the hard things is that you hear about the trees are being cut down in the Amazon, or you hear about the coal industry is growing, and so our air is, the stress of the air could be getting worse. What could be a message of hope for environmentalists who want to hear, or just people in general who, I feel like a lot of times we open the paper, we listen to the news about how bad things are getting, global
too
warming.
Often, that's used as an excuse for not facing seriously. All my life I've been called a doctor of doom and gloom. What is this? It's too depressing. But they use that as an excuse not to face the fact that we are in a serious crisis. So don't give me that stuff about hope until we face up to the fact we've got no choice. Okay? So, a man, Clive Hamilton, an eco-philosopher in Australia, has written a book called Requiem for a Species. And guess what species it's a requiem for? It's us. He's already saying it's too late. Sir Martin Rees, the royal astronomer in England, was asked on BBC, what are the chances humans will even survive to the end of this century? And his answer shocked me. He said 50-50. So if some of the prominent people in the world are saying it's very, very late, don't tell me about this hope stuff. It's not about hope. We've got no choice. Because right now, we're going right over the edge.
So tell me a little bit about your foundation.
Well, the foundation was set up in 1990.
That's hope.
Because the World Watch Institute in the United States had said this is a turnaround decade. The 10 years, if we don't turn things around, we're past it. So I said every dollar we raise, we've got to spend it. We don't have any time. Here it is 23 years later, we're still fighting the same battles. So although the foundation now is a fairly substantial organization, the reality is environmentalists have fundamentally, including me, fundamentally failed. We have not shifted the paradigm. In the United States, you're going backwards, for God's sake. You're still arguing about whether climate change is real. That's outrageous. It's scandalous that the oil and coal companies, the Koch brothers, have been so successful at creating confusion on the part of the public. And you're actually going back, thank goodness, starting to come back up now with Hurricane Sandy. But Americans have wasted 20 years of debate over whether climate change is real.
So why do you care? I mean, what keeps you going?
I have grandchildren. I've got no choice. I've got no choice. My grandchildren didn't ask to come into this world. My generation and the boomers that followed, we partied like there was no tomorrow. Man, we loved everything that came out. iPods, iPads, color TV. This is all great. And we never thought that there were going to be costs. My wife always says, we're talking about global housekeeping. Every woman knows when you make a mess, someone's got to clean it up. So we need women along now to tell us this is global housekeeping. And it's time to sober up and get on with the business of cleaning up the mess that we've created. But I have grandchildren that look to me. And I'll tell you, I'm just one person. I'm not going to save the planet. But when I'm on my deathbed, I want my grandchildren to be there and to be able to say to them, I did the best I could. And that's all anybody can do.
Thank you very much for coming to Western today.
Thank you.
Real pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much. David Suzuki. Thank you, David. Since 2002, recreation majors at Western have staffed and organized Camp Team, an overnight camp for teens and adults with developmental disabilities. The camp, held at Camp Kirby on Samish Island in mid-May every year, allows community members to learn crafts, sports skills, and environmental games, and it gives them a chance to just hang out.
I really appreciate this camp. I had so much fun.
What we're doing is called Camp Team. It is a camp put on by the Recreation Department at Western Washington University and in conjunction with Bellingham Parks and Rec and the same in Skagit County. And what it is a place where us phasers from the Recreation Department come together with community members who happen to have some disabilities, and we provide a normalized camp experience for them.
Camp Team's really important for the recreation program because most of the people who are helping are in phase 1, so they are first starting in the rec program, and so having an opportunity like this really opens our eyes to the power of what we're doing and what we kind of strive to do in the rec program.
Well, Camp Team is about self-discovery and friendship, and it's all wrapped up into an outrageous weekend of fun and laughter.
The way it's set up here is every phaser is paired up with a community member, and we're buddies, so we do everything together. We do activities and eat together and stay in the same bunkhouse.
I like coming to camp to get away from my apartment so that I can hang out with all my good time friends.
All the different buddies I had.
If Western Washington University is in the recreation program is about helping its students to become professionals who make a difference in people's lives, then I'd say that we're doing something right with Camp Team.
I did a couple of them, but I remember one of them specifically was canoeing for the first time in my whole entire life. And what an experience that was. It was just an amazing opportunity for someone like myself to experience the adrenaline rush like everyone gets to have when they do something like that. So being a part of canoeing last year was a great experience.
There is that real life experience that's achieved. You get to take your academic understanding and the conceptual ideas of what you've learned and make it real life, make it real world, and kind of find and foible your way through all of the nuances that might happen in an environment like this.
I love that the campers turn out to be the teachers through most of this experience.
It's like you get to turn the clock back about however many years to when you're a kid and just screw around and have fun. And it's completely condoned. I mean, you've seen all the costumes. I mean, there's no limitation on what imagination and that passion can cultivate and what we're allowed to pull off here.
There is waterfront, and so the campers get to go canoeing or kayaking, whichever they choose. There's also the big hits, arts and crafts and cooking. Everybody loves those, especially cooking because you get to eat whatever you make. And there's also a team sports activity.
Karaoke.
Karaoke!
Karaoke. Karaoke. Karaoke is huge.
Man, I feel like, come on.
think there would be a riot without karaoke and campfire, especially karaoke.
Well, that is camp. It is the lighthearted is the deep-hearted. I think that's the very thing that strikes is play. We think of play being frivolous, but when we look at people when they're most connected, when they're most joyful, when they have their greatest bliss, is when they're doing the light. They're skipping with their lives. They're joyous.
I wish that any person that's struggled or had difficulty or felt uncomfortable interacting with someone with a disability had an opportunity to come here and hang out for an hour. It would change them completely. It would completely change how they viewed, how they perceived, and the way in which they would interact with somebody with a disability. That would be the one thing.
Rowing is a tough sport, tougher than most people think, painful and exacting. Well, the women's rowing team at Western Washington University is a powerhouse, winning 7 straight national titles and matching the winning streak of any NCAA rowing division. The team's success is due to their dedication and powered by heart.
We practice at 5 o'clock, so I get up at 4 pretty much every day in the school week. I go to bed at 9, which I never expected for myself in college. It's just really all absorbing because when we're not practicing, like, we're thinking about it.
The sport of rowing is basically it's a sprint. You spend all these hours getting ready for basically something that's over in 6 minutes.
I have to say that I like just how great of friends we are. That's what I like the most about being on the rowing team. Skills that I've acquired from being on the rowing team would have to be, I think, leadership and how to work well with a group. I think that this has taught me the right way to be in a leadership role. And then working well with a group, there's a different way to lead each group each year, and you need to be flexible, and that's kind of helped me do that.
Rowing is like the ultimate team sport because nobody can move anywhere without the rest of the team. I don't know, just like that feeling of like everyone working together to make it work is really rewarding because it's really hard. Everyone has to do everything exactly right all the time or else the boat doesn't go fast. For me, like the most rewarding thing as a coxswain is when like I say something that works and I feel the boat accelerate. Like, it's amazing. Coxswain's pretty unique in athletics because you're a member of the team, but you sort of bridge the gap between the rowers and the coaching. So like as a coxswain, it's really hard to know what people want to hear, like what's going to motivate them, because that's part of my job. But I've also got to steer the boat and tell everyone what to do at all times. So it's like a lot of multitasking. It's just a lot of mental focus for everyone. I think a lot of people think that coxswain like doesn't have any applicable skills to life because like you're yelling at people and steering a boat. But it's been really good for me because I'm not naturally like that assertive or that outgoing or like a leader. And I really have to do that in the boat. Like it really stretches my boundaries to do that. And it's forced me to push my comfort zone and learn that stuff. So definitely, yeah.
Rowing is its own sport for sure. It's very, very unique. It's sort of a combination between an individual sport and a team sport, and that you have to work really, really hard yourself because you're the only one that can do your job. But then at the same time, you have to be super trusting of your teammates, and you have to trust that everyone in the boat is going to work just as hard as they can and work with you so that you can push the boat to the end and like get it there as fast as possible. And I'd say I'm usually most proud of how my boat did as a whole, working together, putting it all out on the water. We trained so hard for the regatta season, that when we finally get a chance to race, it's super rewarding to work well as a team and like know that we all tried our hardest and all worked together.
I think John is great. He doesn't say much, but what he says really impacts the rest of the team, and he knows what he's doing, and it's really easy to be his athlete because he just knows what he's doing. He's obviously had a lot of success, so it's really easy to put our trust in him as a coach.
I don't really have to motivate them a lot. I think that they're pretty well self-motivated, making sure that I keep the workouts interesting and fun, but also with goals that they can accomplish. So I really don't have to motivate them a whole lot. And it's just a matter of peaking them at the right time and learning all the things that they've had, over the years, but and over the year as it is, but making sure that they can pack all that into one race. And it's really intense, but as long as they're healthy and they're peaked for the end of the year, it'll be fine. I'm very proud of them. Yeah, I mean, I think respect is a little more of the word I have for them. I mean, they are doing all the work, and for them to get up this early and do what they do is pretty awesome. And yeah, when they perform like that, I am proud of them, but it is all them. So I do have a lot of respect for them.
This sport has impacted my life by forcing me to be a little bit more organized. I am a huge procrastinator by nature, and you can't do that with rowing. You have to not only plan to be on time, you have to be 5 minutes early for everything. So it's really helped me with that.
Learn how to get up early and just push yourself to do your hardest and push through the pain is always really important, and that can translate to work or school. It's so rewarding. The team is awesome, the coaches are great, and you feel super good about yourself, and it's just the greatest feeling.
Last summer, 4 students from the Department of Music got the opportunity to travel to Siena, Italy to study opera with Dana and Sue Talley, professional singers and Western Music alumni. Only 45 students nationwide are given the opportunity to participate in this prestigious program.
Nella piazza del campo ci nasce la verbena, viva la nostra Siena, la più bella di le città.
What's the difference between like the classics of a book and a television show? People are still drawn to books. People are still drawn to like the older things because the stories are still good, because they still make people feel things. And I think the same is true with opera.
It just makes it so that you can communicate with an entire audience like I'm just talking to you one-on-one, but there's 3,000 people in the audience, and it's like you're talking to each one of them. We went to Siena, participated in Siena Summer Music, which was a professional opera development program for 3 weeks in Siena, Italy.
Our professors told us that Dana Talley was coming for master classes. He gave us a unique opportunity to audition past the deadline for this program. He came to our school specifically to get more students for his program because he felt like we would all have the capabilities.
Sue and Dana are married, and Dana was a tenor, a professional tenor, and Sue is a pianist.
And they both did their undergrad here at Western.
We were waiting before master class, and John comes in, and Sue's kind of playing on the piano, and he's like, "Oh, Sue, do you know how to do Sunken Cathedral?"
Yeah.
Because
it
was a piece we'd studied in music theory the quarter before, and it's this fantastic, huge, beautiful piece of piano music. And she's like, I think I can remember it. I played it once.
No sheet music.
And she just goes down, kind of starts going, and then just plays the whole thing. Fantastic, beautiful, and with so much feeling.
So basically, we tried out, and then we got emails that said either you've been accepted, or you haven't been accepted, or you've been accepted and you have this amount of scholarship money. And I think a lot of us weren't sure if we'd be able to go because, these things, a program like this costs money and you got to fly over to Europe and all that. Very generously, the College of Fine and Performing Arts actually gave all of us, or found a scholarship for all of us to go over there on a full ride scholarship. So we got to do this program, completely under the scholarship of the CFPA. So if it wasn't for that, I know that it would have been a lot harder for me to go, and I think probably most of us, it really, really helped out.
I know, for me, it was, I think, the most valuable musical experience I've ever had so far. I grew so much as a musician because here, you have a lesson once a week, you're expected to practice, and how many of us practice all the time? We have so much other stuff to do. But in Italy, it was you woke up, you didn't have to worry about transportation, we just walked to school. Right. You didn't have to worry about your meals, they're all paid for. So you could spend all of your effort learning the music, learning how to immerse yourself into what's going on. And I mean, there's really nothing like it. It was the best experience I've ever had with music.
Being in a different country and being able to communicate with in a different language, and it was a huge confidence builder for me specifically. And I think and it also gave me a taste of what it would be like to be a performer, to be like a professional singer, because we went and performed concerts for the local people. And as a performer, particularly, I grew leaps and bounds. And I was terrified, so terrified. And, but when I got there, they were so warm and welcoming, and I had this most wonderful experience. And I think that it's very worthwhile for someone who would like to take the next step. They should do it.
That wraps up this episode of Western Window.
Be sure to tune in next time as we explore the world at and around Western Washington University.